Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's weekly market review for Monday, the 10th of November, 2025 to Friday, the 14th of November, 2025. My name is Vishal. Let's get started. All right, let's kickstart with the FII data and let's look at the past 3 weeks on how the FII data has actually unfolded. So if you look at when we actually started showing you this on the weekly market video, we saw that the FIS had come into a level of demand, and that is when we saw this small green candle forming. And based on the concept of supply and demand, we expected the price or we expected the FIIs to move up in terms of the data. And that is exactly what happened in the next week. We saw that after the price did come into this level of demand, price gave a very, very strong bounce. And that's how the markets also gave a very, very strong bounce. Now, looking at the most recent data, and this is last week's data, we have seen that a little bit of profit booking is coming along in price action. But now we are also coming into this area of demand, or rather, we are seeing this area of demand, being played along. The consensus is that this could lead to price going up further, at least eventually towards this supply zone. So we'll have to see how this week pans out. But looking at the current FII data, it seems like price might take a little bit of a halt here, and it'll be interesting to see how this week's candle actually opens for the week to analyze and say that prices are eventually going to move towards the upper supply area. All right, let's move on to the charts now, and let us see how this actually transpires into the charts here. So let's kickstart with the monthly chart here. So on monthly chart, we have a level of demand from 24,736 to 24,325. This is a fresh level of demand. On the weekly chart, the closest level of demand from current market price is 24,900 to 24,587. There is still no clear supply on the monthly and the weekly charts. But if you go to the daily charts, we see that last week we saw the price come straight into this level of demand, which was highlighted in the past sessions. 25,322 and 25,000. And we see how price just halted here and gave a strong reversal to the upside. Now, whether this reversal takes price up further is only, time will decide that. But looks like we have had a strong support around this level of demand, and now prices are bouncing very, very strongly to the upside. And the price expectation is that in case if the price does, continue to move to the upside, then it's most likely that we might come into this area of supply eventually, which is 26,157 to 26,276. So right now, the view on the market, especially on the Nifty, is more bullish than bearish. Let's move on to the next index, which is Bank Nifty. So we will change this to Nifty Bank. And let's look at some of the key levels on Bank Nifty. Let's start off first with the monthly chart. So basis on the monthly chart, we have a fresh demand level on the monthly 54,646 to 53,481. Then if we come back to the weekly chart, we don't see any fresh level of demand, but we do see that there was a drop-based rally level of demand. Price came into this level of demand, gave a very, very strong bounce. In fact, created new highs on the Bank Nifty, 54,440 to 53,542. And now, interestingly, we see fresh levels of demand on the Bank Nifty around 56,715 to 55,752. This is a level on top of level. And I've included both these levels because considering the index, markets tend to get a little volatile, and they could probably go a little bit more deep inside the weekly level, which we see over here. And then we could expect to see a bounce coming out very, very similar to the Nifty level. All right, let's move on to the next index now. We have the Midcap Nifty. Let's go to the Midcap Nifty index now. And let's look at the key levels of supply and demand. So on the Midcap, Nifty, we have a drop based rally, monthly level of demand 12609 to 12426. No supply zones on mid cap. If we go on to the weekly level of the mid cap sector, we see a strong move from this weekly level of demand. 13,216 to 13,017 again highlighted in the last session, and we are seeing this level playing out very, very strongly. But what is really amazing to see is this particular level and how price came into this level, bounce from this level at the same time. Nifty also gave a bounce at the same time. Bank Nifty also gave a bounce. So this is a real super confluence of all these three indices coming into a level of demand and price seeing a strong move to the upside. Now, because there is no overhead supply on Midcap Nifty, Midcap Nifty and Midcap Nifty stocks could keep on pushing to the upside. So that's a good sign for the midcap sector as price may initially tend to move towards the bullish side. Let's look at the CNX Finance now. So we are going to go into the Fin Nifty now to analyze how the Nifty financial services sector looks like. So if we look at Nifty Finance, monthly level of demand, fresh level 26,024 to 25,425. If we go on to the weekly chart, very, very similar to the mid-cap Nifty, 26,013 to 25,481. And if we go to the Nifty Financial Services, again, a beautiful level. Actually, price came straight into this level and now moving up strongly. I don't see any clear level of supply on the Nifty Financial Services. So the view remains that if Midcap Nifty, Fin Nifty, Nifty, and Bank Nifty tend to start moving to the upside, then eventually Nifty, Fin Nifty, and Midcap Nifty will again start seeing all-time highs. All right, let's move on to now the USD INR, and let's see what are the key levels of USD INR. Okay, let's first kickstart with the monthly chart. So on the monthly chart, we have a fresh level of demand from 85.78 to 83.65. It is still holding. We also see a new level of demand, which is playing out, which is this current level. I had not initially plotted it, but I'm doing that right now. 88.16 to 86.93 on the monthly chart. On the weekly chart, we see a fresh level of demand now, 87.97 to 87.643. And price could come here and give a bounce to the upside, or then in case if this level of demand does not hold, price may go to the lower level 87.59 to 86.90 and then give a bounce. Any correction in the USD INR will possibly indicate the Nifty and all the indices moving up pretty strongly. And as we can clearly see, the USD INR is also playing around in a supply zone right now. We had identified the supply zone in the past few sessions. 88.68 to 88.93 is a key supply zone on the USD INR. And in case if the USD INR starts falling down from this level, then it's more likely that the Nifty and all the other indices will start pushing up very, very strongly to the upside. All right, let's move on to the next instrument, which is going to be India VIX. So let's look at India VIX and the current levels of India VIX. So to begin, on the monthly chart, there is no level here as such. But on the weekly chart, we see a nice level of demand from 10 to 9.62. It's a fresh level. We also see a level of supply from 14.64 to 16.32 odd levels. This will be a key supply on the India VIX. And on the level on the daily chart, we are still in supply, and this supply could still play out, which means that volatility could start slowing down a bit. And in case of volatility starts pushing to the downside, then again, it will also force all the indices to push to the upside. So we are closely watching this 13.63, 14.55 level, and it's more likely that a lot of things might happen once India VIX gets here. So it'll be interesting to see in the days to come how the indices shape up once VIX gets there. Let's now shift our focus from the equity markets to the commodities. Let's start with gold. So on gold, we have the closest monthly level of demand from 1 lakh 2006, 1 lakh, 1 lakh 261.30 and then 86,770. This is going to be a very, very wide level. of demand. Then on the weekly chart, we have a level at 1,10,599 to 1,08,677. And then on the daily chart, we see a level of demand currently being played out since the 28th of October. We saw a nice hammer candle over here, um, a nice bullish push to the upside. And currently now we are again seeing gold again pushing to the upside. Now we do have these gap levels, which mean in the short term, we might see these gap levels also being filled eventually, and then prices moving up towards this gap, this drop, base drop level. So seems like gold also is looking bullish on the charts. Let's move on to the next commodity, which is going to be silver. And let's look at silver here. All right, on silver, we have a monthly level of demand from 1,09,759 to 1,05,010, pretty far away from current market price right now. On the daily chart, on the weekly chart, we have a level of fresh demand from 1,29,836 to 1,23,613. But here is where things get interesting on the weekly chart. So we have a supply zone on silver from 1,54,982 to 1,60,036. We don't have a supply zone on gold, but it'll be interesting to see that when silver gets here, whether there will be some pressure on gold. And if you see, we also have a gap level on silver, which is a very, very similar gap level on gold. So it'll be interesting to see that in case if price gets into supply and then price pushes down towards this gap level of demand, what's the next move? Is the next move to the upside, or then are we going to see a little bit of consolidation and then silver and gold again falling to the downside? So again, on the chart, both gold and silver look pretty optimistic, look very bullish. And let's move on to the next commodity, which is crude oil. All right, let's move on to crude oil now. Crude oil on the monthly chart, uh, moving pretty much in a sideways range, monthly level of supply holding, as well as monthly level of demand holding. Nothing has changed on the crude oil chart. On the weekly chart, we are seeing a level on top of level, weekly demand zone. Looks like price wants to, it's compressed and price wants to, push to the upside. Obviously, the monthly barrier is still there. But here it is quite clear as to what price wants to do now. So it seems like price is reacting right now from this daily level of supply. And it's more likely that if this daily level of supply holds, price will try and come and fill this gap and then probably move towards this area, which is this supply 57.63 to 59.12. In case if price breaks this level of supply, because price has already tested this once, then we will not have any hesitation of crude oil moving towards 57.63 to 59.12 in the short to mid term. Let's move on to the next commodity, which is copper. And if you look at copper, let's look at the key levels on copper. So on copper, monthly level of demand 909 to 860. Weekly level of demand 920 to 895. And monthly level of demand is from 944 to 928. So nothing close by on copper, at least on the higher time frames to engage in. Let's look at natural gas. So on natural gas, monthly level of supply is sitting at 516 to 622. Can natural gas move all the way there? Looks like it's heading in those directions. We had a nice level of monthly demand. Price came into this monthly level of demand and has been continuously moving strongly to the upside. Let's see whether natural gas eventually gets to 516, 622 odd levels. If you look at the weekly chart, again, there is absolutely no barrier for natural gas to stop moving, and there will be continuous buying happening at lower levels as well. But the clear level on the weekly level of demand is 287 to 255 on natural gas and 50 to 584 supply zone on natural gas. And if you look at the daily chart, we are coming into this supply zone 410467. This could be probably a profit taking zone since natural gas has significantly rallied to the upside. So just be careful to initiate any longs here in this supply, because there should be some kind of profit booking coming in on natural gas. So the level of supply is 410467 to watch out for, and on daily demand the level is 298 to 282. All right, everyone. This is it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's analysis. And if you do like our analysis every week, hit the like button, hit the subscription button, join the Sharekhan Education YouTube channel to get the most latest updates. And if you do have any valuable comments, please mention them in the comment section. Have a lovely week, everyone. See you all next week. Bye bye.
This should not be treated as a recommendation. Please conduct your own analysis or consult a financial advisor before investing.